Welcome to the third installment of Glitch in the Matrix stories from Korea. If you missed the previous Glitch episodes, check out the playlist, links in the description and at the corner of the screen. Glitch in the Matrix is not a concept widely popular in Korea, so there's no dedicated site or thread on Korean web communities. So I collected stories that could fall under Glitch in the Matrix as I went through the general mystery-related stories. Missing time, another dimension, lost object found in an unexpected places and condition. Most of them are short and anecdotal, but I find them more realistic for their reason. Could they really be glitch, or paranormal phenomenon, or perhaps just a lapse in our brain function? Here are 8 allegedly true Glitch in the Matrix stories from Korea. As always, handpicked, translated and narrated by your host, Anthony. More than 10 years ago, I had a hair tie I particularly liked. I can still clearly remember how it looked. Mint green colored glittery elastic band was decorated with ornaments in flower shape. But one day I stepped on it by mistake and broke it. Could not use it anymore, so I just left it in the desk drawer. A few days later, I opened the drawer to look for a pen and saw the hair tie back in the perfect condition. There was no sign of the previous damage or repair, as if it had never been broken. I asked Mom if she bought a new one in the same design for me, but she said she didn't. Curious, but I think I just shrugged it off, thinking maybe there lived a good ghost with us. It happened 5 years ago. I went to bed at 11 one Friday night. I had an extra lesson from the early morning the following day, so it was earlier than usual bedtime for me. When I woke up, I found myself in the metro train. I don't remember how I ended up there. From the moment I got up from bed that morning to that point of waking up on the metro train was completely erased from my memory. I later asked my parents what I did that morning, if there wasn't anything unusual, but they said there were nothing particular. They saw me waking up, getting ready, and leaving home. I still don't understand what happened. Such never recurred to this day, so I guess it wasn't some sort of permanent trouble up my brain or something. Recently I bought a new mobile phone, which I unfortunately dropped in a puddle about a month ago. It still functioned, except that I could not hear the person on the other side of the line anymore. I had to either repair it or cancel the contract, but I'm lazy, and I've been simply using my old phone instead for the time being. Then 2 days ago, last Tuesday that is, I could not hear my usual morning alarm set on the phone, and realized I must have lost the phone somewhere. To make sure I hadn't left it somewhere at home, I first rang it using my new phone. Silence. Then I remembered it must be still set in the silent mode after the visit to the library the previous evening. So I left the new phone still ringing my old number on bed and looked around the room hoping to catch the glimpse of the flashing screen of the phone in case I left it somewhere in the house. Well, I could not find it. But when I came back to my bed, I noticed the call to the older phone was connected and had been so for 23 seconds already. I picked up the phone but could not hear anything on the other side. As I said, the new phone was defect due to the water damage, so calling out to whomever picked it up would have been of no use. But I was at least relieved that somebody must have picked my old phone and should be keeping it. I tried to call it again later in the day, but this time nobody picked it up. I assumed and hoped that I must have left it in the library, and by now it should be with the lost and found office. I was planning to go back to the library on Friday, so I thought to wait till then. And just now, as I browsed through some books on the shelf, I found my old phone in between books. Only then I remembered that I had put it there not to get distracted while I read the book that I had to finish urgently. But then, why didn't it ring the usual morning alarm? I checked it now, and the alarm is still set on as always. And how could it connect itself when I called it with my new phone? Still weirder is, its battery is still good to 80% charged. It's a 5-year-old phone and would have been long dead without charging over 2 days. What the heck is going on? One day I and Mom were on the way back home from the local supermarket in the car she was driving. From the supermarket to our home was a short 15-minute journey by car through a very simple route of a straight, single right turn, and again straight till we hit our street. We've been driving the route countless times, of course. But then, as she made a right turn, Mom suddenly asked, "Haven't we just made a right turn before?" Which indeed made me realize that we did. I think we did already. Or didn't we? I said. But not long after, we took yet another right turn, on the same street at the same corner. "Haven't we talked about having taken a right turn already?" Mom said. I think so, and I replied that I thought we did, was my confused reply. This means we must have taken the same right turn at least 3 times. The drive that day took about 20 minutes, a bit longer than usual, but it would have taken much longer than that if it were that we took the wrong turn and took the detour route. I don't believe Mom and I both could have lost mind at the same time. I still can't understand what happened then. I don't sleep very well. I tend to get lots of dreams, and unless I'm already in a deep sleep, even a small noise would wake me up. I think I was a middle school student when I first heard the footsteps. I was suffering mild insomnia and was staying up late reading a book. Then I heard footsteps from afar. It wasn't clearly from 1 or 2 persons, but at least several dozens or even hundreds of people marching in steps. In the quiet of the early morning hour, the marching footsteps got closer and closer, but it was just footsteps, no other sounds of people shouting or talking. Near my home at the time were 3 universities, and there used to be a lot of demonstrations of students for various political issues. It wasn't uncommon that I witnessed or even ran into violent clashes of demonstrators and police force, with exchange of tear gas bomb and petrol bomb between them. So I just assumed perhaps it was the sound of soldiers or riot police, preparing for an upcoming demo. Then I heard the same marching footsteps occasionally, invariably when I was up alone late at night. Should there be such a large group march, there should have been some other random noises mixed in, but it was always just footsteps. It felt more like a sound effect from a film. Nevertheless, I didn't give it too much of thought. A few years passed, and I happened to spend a night at a friend's. Of course, I had a hard time falling asleep, tossing and turning, while my friend snored next to me. Then I heard it, the same footsteps of marching. My friend's place was in other side of the town and also on the 12th floor. And yet, the footsteps came in exactly the same pattern. From afar, they got nearer and nearer, until I felt it so close as if I was sitting right next to the marching troops. And then slowly moved away. I was confused. Why was I hearing the same noise in the other part of the town? Do they make the same military drill here too? How could it sound so close when I was on the 12th floor? I asked my friend the next morning, but he didn't hear anything. The footsteps visited me occasionally afterwards too, up until in my early 20s. I haven't heard it recently, but that's probably just because I tend to just fall asleep out of exhaustion from work nowadays. But I still think about it sometimes. Who were they? And what were they doing? It's an experience from my childhood. I have frequently recounted it to my family and friends over the years, but none seems to be able to explain what it was other than the comment of, "That is indeed strange." I think I was a primary school student then. It was a rainy day and I was already back home from school. I realized my sister, who hadn't been back yet, didn't bring an umbrella with her that day. So, like a good sister, I went out to the bus stop with an extra umbrella and waited for her return. It was yet before the evening rush hour, and the street was almost empty both on the motorway and the pedestrian road. Rain was keep pouring down with low rumbling of distant thunders. I didn't mind. I've always been a strange girl who liked thunders. I don't know how many minutes I waited there, standing in the rain. Then a lightning struck, and with that, everything turned white to my eyes. The whole space in front of me turned into a white void, no distinction between ground and sky. Neither the noise of the rain drumming down nor thunders could I hear any more either. I looked down and I couldn't see my own body either. I could still feel the presence of my body, but I couldn't see myself, as if I had turned transparent. I read lots of fantastic cartoons at the time, and reminding myself of such stories, I started running, hoping that it might lead me out of this void. I could feel my legs and arms moving, as well as my sight shaking as it would when one sprints fast. I must have run like that for a few seconds, and suddenly I was back. Still standing at the bus stop, frozen stuck with the umbrella still in my hand. I could dare to move again only with a loud noise of another thunder. If it were that I fainted or lost consciousness, then I think I must have fallen down or at least collapsed to a squat. Could one go off standing still? Now it's more than 20 years ago, and I myself am not even sure anymore if it really did happen as I remember it, or if it was just a dream. I don't remember when it exactly took place, but I couldn't have been much older than 13. One day I must have lost track of time chatting with a friend in the playground. When I checked my phone, it was almost dinner time. My mom would get angry if I missed the usual dinner time, so I hurried back home. Fortunately, it was still bright, and I thought I should be able to use it as my excuse that I didn't realize it was so late already because it was still bright. I arrived home and opened the door, and suddenly I saw the outside view from the balcony door, dark, with street lamps on. Just now, before I walked into the flat, the sun was still up and light was flooding in the corridor. Of course, Mom reprimanded me, and I had no more excuse to tell her. I liked table tennis, but being a high schooler left me very little free time. I had a few friends in the same shoes, and one day we decided to just go for it, even for just an hour after the long day at school. There was a table tennis facility at the basement of an apartment block near our school, which opened till 10 p.m. Our school finished at 9. To spare as much time as possible, we ran when school finished. So little time in hand, we just delved straight into playing the game. About 20 minutes into the game, our ball rolled into the corner of the room screened by some curtains. The small space behind them was used as a storage for reserve tables, etc., so I had to go behind the curtains to find the ball. When I bent down onto the tables, I saw a train of white dress. I looked up to find a woman smiling down on me, hung from the ceiling. I felt my sight momentarily going hazy, probably due to a shock. And then she was gone. Was it just an illusion? Shaken and confused, I nevertheless picked up the ball and returned to the game. By the time I came back home, it was 10:30, and the house was empty, which was odd. My mom wouldn't go out at this time of the day. I called her phone, but she didn't pick it up. I shrugged and turned on my computer to log into my then-favorite online game. My usual game mate just in time came online too. We teamed up as always and started playing. Now it was just passing 11 at night. My mobile buzzed. A call coming from home? But I was alone home now. Who was this calling? I picked it up. Hello?
Where are you? What's taking you so long?
It was my mom. I was confused, but tried to keep calm. Mom? What do you mean? I am home. Click. Mom was about to say something, but the line went dead. Next moment, my consciousness just went off like an electronic machine suddenly cut off from the power. When I opened my eyes, I was on a hospital bed. Mom was next to me with worrying eyes. My confusion only grew when she explained me what happened. She was home waiting for me, and when I didn't come home by 11, she phoned me. she indeed heard me saying,
"I am home."
and then lost the connection. Not 10 minutes later, she got a call that I had fainted and was brought to hospital. Friends who were playing table tennis with me explained to her that they had found me unconscious behind the curtains and called an ambulance. If that was the case, I must have lost consciousness when I saw that woman hung from the ceiling, and the rest of the evening was my dream. But it still didn't add up. Who was it that answered the call from my mom that claimed he was home? Mom and I could not find the call history on either of our phones, but we both remembered the call. Another missing puzzle. When I got back home and logged onto the game and found a chat log from the previous evening. From my game teammate. "Where are you gone? Shit, have you left me alone in the middle of the battle? F you!" I still don't understand. Where was I between 9:30 and 11 that night? Hi, it's Anthony here, and thank you very much for your listening. I'm happy that I could collect enough stories for another episode of Glitch in the Matrix, and I hope you enjoyed them. I wish it could be a bit easier to find them on the Korean web, but it's not exactly a thing in Korea, so I cannot but go through story by story as they come. Will there be another? I hope so. If you enjoyed my video, please give it a like, comment, and consider subscribing to my channel. Every single comment, like, and subscription mean a lot to my little channel and encourage me to carry on. Thank you. Until the next, stay safe and take care.